And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. In today's episode, BSG recently tweeted out a little teaser for the Lighthouse boss, looks like. We call him the Antler Man, although I think he has an official name, but it's in Russian.
Exactly. Then we also got even more teasers from BSG on Streets of Tarkov. You know, it's slowly teasing out the thread of information that's coming out from these guys, and it's still all speculation at this point, but we will see. It's a little more of something. So.
And then finally, we're going to sort of have an open discussion / review some notes I took a while back in August about keys and the key system, and just kind of rehash over that territory a little bit and refine it. But yeah, so your week, Giga, how's it been? How's the extended break going for you?
It's going good. It's going good. It's been all right. I mean, I'm kind of itching to get back. I think the way that things are going, I'm basically going to be back on Monday is the plan. I'm like kind of rejigging the schedule a little bit. So because like some of the evening stuff is now a bit more tricky, so I think I'm going to pull some of those back into the day. So we will see. We will see how that goes. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's been good to take a break. I've been like thinking about stuff. Sometimes it's nice to take a step back as well and kind of revisit and think about things. And yeah, sometimes that's important just to get a break in your own mind so that you can get a fresh start and come at things, you know, with a more open mind. It's so easy to just be so like, you know, just making. I kind of go through these periods actually anyway, where I'm kind of making mode, and I'm like, okay, I've done the same thing. I haven't like improved anything. I've just been doing, and then I'm kind of like really introspective and just like, and then, like looking outside, like looking at different content. Like, I wonder if I can do this or this or this, and then like maybe introduce some new elements, and then kind of come back to it, and then get back into making mode again because you got to kind of practice and train those muscles of the new things that you're learning. So no, it's good. It's good, but I am looking forward to getting back to it. I was speaking to somebody else actually, and they're like, "Oh, you must be like really enjoying the fact that you've got the flexibility to go and spend the time with the fam now and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, it's really good. I would say it's like 90% like really awesome and like such a good opportunity to be able to do this, and like 10% like I'm a little bit bored. You know what I mean? Because there's like I'm not doing any of the usual stuff, so I'm like it's kind of nice in some ways because I'm ready to go back. I'm like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to like getting back into it and stuff. So. Yeah, it's been going well. It's been going well. Yeah, the little one, she was released from the midwives. Kind of, they have both mum and baby under like ongoing monitoring. Like you're at home doing your stuff, but you go in every now and then and get checked over. Right. So my wife was released from that like a while ago, and the little one got released from that today because they were like, oh, she's doing great and she's putting on weight and everything's like working properly and she's looking great and stuff. So like, things are real good now. So. Just onwards and upwards from here as best we can. So, how's it been going for you? What's your week been like?
Pretty good, man. We just had yesterday was Thanksgiving here in the States, so we ate some turkey, some ham, some mashed potatoes and gravy, some cornbread, all the fixings. Dude, the best thing about like these like holidays here is that you just get so many leftovers. Cause I love leftovers, man. I'll just be like, it's like 10 p.m. I could go for a snack. Just, get me a plate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, usually when there's nothing in the house or whatever, you're just like, oh, I could do a snack, but like I got to make something, whatever. But like if there's loads of stuff left over, yeah. We have like a similar situation right now for like a completely unrelated reason. There was like a little like mini party for something. One of like family members' house, and they were like, "There's no way we can eat all this stuff. Like, you guys just like take it." So we just got tons of things in the house. Definitely not good for the health, but it's nice when you're like, "Oh, I just fancy something." There's loads of things around, but it's funny. I almost actually, I've seen a few references here and there, but I kind of forgot it was Thanksgiving because normally I'm quite plugged into it. And I had a friend who used to go to theirs quite often, but just like things happened or whatever, and like I'm up here now, and so I just kind of like forgot almost. I think it's probably like the most American tradition that like never translated because like we fully adopted Halloween eventually, and it's like a big thing here now. But Thanksgiving is still kind of like very much an American only thing. Like we're probably aware of it here, but we're just kind of like, it doesn't really happen. It's not a thing. You normally get invited to one, as a British person. Like, you wouldn't just host your own, if that makes sense.
That'd be because it's kind of like, I mean, it's based in, us breaking away from the from that, England, I guess, or the whatever the church authority from back in the day. I think something like that.
I'm not even.
Don't quote me, historians.
Sure. Yeah, you're gonna get on 1,000 angry comments now. Just like, well, actually, no. But you know what I mean? Like, you could host a Halloween party as
it's
a
definitely
British person, but like,
rooted.
I wouldn't like. It'd be kind of weird if to host a Thanksgiving party.
It has like deep roots in our history, but for better for worse.
Indeed.
So outside of that, though, been playing some more DMZ, which has been pretty fun. It's okay. They did fix the one thing that was like kind of like really boring me about it at one point was you couldn't progress the quest lines anymore because there was one quest that was bugged. So it was like extract with the enemy's weapon, and it just every time you tried it, you could put in your backpack, you could put in your slots, whatever, have it out, blah blah, whatever. It didn't matter, it didn't work. But they recently patched that, and so now I got like all these quests open up again, which is like kind of the point of playing it for me, at least, was like, you do enough quests, you get an extra insurance slot, so like when you die and you fail, you can still use a good gun, whatever. The other part that's like kind of getting me to like still play it is just the leveling up the guns and like unlocking new attachments and stuff. The gunsmith, that's really cool. Maybe we'll talk about it more, but anyways.
Yeah, I mean, for full disclosure, I haven't played any more DMZ. I kind of like took a pause on everything. I'm not even sure why. Like, I'm not even sure where the time went. I don't really know how the time appeared the previous week that allowed me to play like a couple of games. I'm not even sure where that came from. And then that window seemed to close last week. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll play a little bit more in the week to come. I'll probably be. Will I be sticking to Tarkov? Probably, but I mean, maybe I'll dabble with some DMZ on stream. I don't know. It's solo only though, so I'm not sure if I want to do that with chat. And we'll see. We'll see. But maybe we dive into that a little bit later on. I'm happy to talk about it because it's still interesting, I think, as the primo extraction shooter, given it's the AAA quality. But outside of that, then, so we have had some tidbits. It's not a lot, but the big thing for me is the Antlerman, the Antlerman video that we've had posted. So what have you got? The bunch of dudes going into the lighthouse. Basically, they're going. It's at night, and they're going across the bridge towards the lighthouse itself, and then someone gets picked off, and then there's another guy who's just our point of view, and he's on the bridge, and then he also gets picked off, and then it just shows, Antlerman himself with, I believe it's an AXMC with the thermal on it.
Yeah,
I think it's the gun that he has, and then the screen just goes black for like 13 seconds or something. I'm not really sure why that was included in the video, but it was. So some people just being like, well, 13 seconds means, that means that it's 13 days. The usual.
Wait, are you serious, dude?
Yeah, no, I think people were joking. People were joking, though. I'm sure people were joking.
Were they?
Please, dear God, let them be joking. Oh, my God. I hope so.
Apparently, his name translates to Zachii, Zrachii.
I always pronounce it in my head as Zrachii, but I don't know whether that's
Zrachii.
Right or not.
Probably Zrachii or something. I don't know.
Something like that. What's that? What do you know what that translates to? Like, is that's actually his name? Because there's
right.
Usually they're based on something, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually sure about this guy.
Probably Antler Man.
I wonder. Yeah, I don't actually know. So this kind of leads a lot of questions, right? About because he's the Lightkeeper's bodyguard, basically, or what do they call him? They call him like his dog. They keep referring to him as like his dog, but he's like his sort of sidekick, I suppose. And some people are speculating that is the Lightkeeper himself, which I think is unlikely.
Yeah, that dude's pretty old.
Yeah. So I think that's unlikely, and so it's more than reasonable to assume that he's going to be the protector of the lighthouse itself. You have to somehow get past him to get to the lightkeeper. I do wonder, it would be kind of cool if they made it so that he's, I don't know how you do this in a fun way, but like he's kind of impossible to kill. Do you know what I mean? And you have to sort of sneak by him or trick him or something.
Okay, yeah,
and that's how you get access to the lightkeeper. So like you never like killing him.
Metal
not
Gear
really
Solid vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of that kind of behavior that I feel could be in the game, but isn't really lent into just because of the way that things are done, and could be really, really cool. So that could work. Because I mean, otherwise you're gonna have to fight him down that sort of spit of land. I mean, it's
Sniper Alley.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. So I don't know whether you're gonna be able to use smoke grenades or whatever else.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, against the AI, that sounds pretty suspect, right?
Yeah. Dude, that is one thing I wish, man. I wish the smokes were as good as they are in DMZ or Warzone. Just like throw them instant, cloud, and it's like you can't see through. Would be nice.
Yeah, that's really the only way to make them kind of tactical and usable in a video game, right? Because
for the most
regular
part, yeah.
smoke,
But
you just need them. You need them to be super quick because the gameplay is so much faster than a real fight. That's why smoke grenades work normally, because you're covering like squads of people moving, and people aren't just shift Wing around around various fields IRL.
I mean, so I think if they made them, because I saw like a video and they actually are pretty effective, but you kind of need the wind conditions to be in your favor. If there's like a strong gust, then the cloud will like drift off to the side, so you may like completely miss your target you're trying to like cover with it. But they like do kind of deploy relatively fast. Like in Tarkov, it feels like it generates a single cloud, entity per like tick. So it takes like a good like, second or two for it to like be, like semi-effective, Anyways, sorry, I just had to like squeeze in a gripe about the smokes, because God, they could be so like, it could actually be a thing that's useful. But
yeah, they could be so good. I mean, I also remember hearing that the smokes were client side as well, so that you don't necessarily know exactly where they are in Tarkov. What you see on your screen for the smoke isn't necessarily what everyone sees, which is like, oh God, that's really, really bad.
Yeah, but there might be a good reason for that too on the opposite end, I wonder.
Possibly, but I mean, again, it just makes you distrust them, I suppose.
Yeah, I get you. I get you, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, that could work, I guess, in theory, because as per like the thermal, when I was like revisiting the thermals, actually, this is a good question to ask you, just like while we're talking about it. Do you remember smoke being transparent to thermals previously? Because I certainly do. There was a strategy at one point where you could go to dorms and you could throw smoke grenades down and then use a thermal scope, and you could see through the smoke and no one else could see you. I swear that was a strategy that you could do at some point. You know what? It might even be in my old thermals video. Thinking about it, I never went back to look at it.
I don't think I've ever like done anything like that, so I can't say one way or the other.
Fair enough. I mean, it is quite niche. I actually feel that might be in the very first video I did about thermals. At some point I'm going to go and have a look and see, because I swear that you could see through them. And I think maybe with I don't know which change it was in particular. It could have been the one where, because at some point they made it so that thermals couldn't see through glass, and that change could have come with the smoke change as well, that they can't see through smoke, but they definitely can't see through smoke now. And AI also doesn't really see you through smoke. Like there's a certain level at which they will start to shoot you again, because I did some testing on factory. Like usual scavs won't see, they won't see you if they're just an outline, but then as you kind of become more into focus, then they suddenly go, oh, like there you are. So if the AI is programmed correctly, then you could potentially smoke grenade your way up the central section if he's using a thermal. I guess regardless of the optic, I suppose, but the thermal doesn't see through the smoke either. So in theory, you'd be safe with the smokes. I don't know. We will see. We will see. But
It
the
would
thing
be
is, right?
it would be a cool mechanic if everything lined up. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm really skeptical about your statement about smoke working against AI. Like I want to see video, dude. I'm really skeptical.
Okay. All right. Well, that remains to be seen. But I guess that the more fundamental point is that he is there to protect the Lightkeeper, and the Lightkeeper is the purveyor of fine quality explosives and high end goods or whatever. Like the point is presumably not to kill him, or maybe it is, but that's not really the end goal. The end goal is to get to the Lightkeeper, and he's kind of guarding him for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So,
why is he guarding him?
yeah, why is he
that
guarding
is kind
him?
of a weird thing. Like, hey, I'm here to do business. And then they're just like, no, you're not touching my senpai whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm just going to shoot you in the head with this XMC if you try and get close. So the worst businessman ever. But that's the thing. Maybe you have to do something beforehand. But it's interesting again that they've released this video now. It's almost seems to me that things are coming out at kind of like in like the wrong order. I don't know. It's really weird. They did all of that precursor lore last time, and then it turned out to be the arena trailer. And then now everyone's like, oh, okay, well the Lightkeeper's not coming now. It's gonna be like the next patch, and then Nikita was saying, oh, Streets is gonna be in the next patch. And they're like, all right, we're gonna drop a trailer, and everyone's like, oh my god, what's this? And it's just like, it's the Lightkeeper bodyguard, and everyone's like, huh? I thought that he wasn't coming for a while. So it's just a bit confusing to me. I think it's just dropping of like random stuff. I just don't think we should read into it too much. Is my personal
I mean,
opinion.
I get what you're saying. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I feel like it could be just the guy and not the Lightkeeper. Based off the Petzeli interview with Nikita, it seemed like Lightkeeper was still like a very iffy thing, but Streets and like, GL and new boss, because he did mention a new boss, but I was kind of assuming Streets, but now that this trailer's out, well, it's like, well, that's a new boss, I guess. So
that's true. You could have Zorachi by himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is like he's just the boss on that side of the map, so it's like a little bit more, interest on that side of the map versus the opposite side. Could be kind of cool for people that play the map.
Yeah, exactly. I never really thought about that actually. That's a good point. Because maybe there wouldn't be a boss for Streets then in that case. And then you get this guy instead.
But it could be two bosses. Who knows? Could be no bosses. But that'd be my guess.
Yeah. That actually makes sense. I kind of didn't think of that. That's definitely plausible. But yeah, I mean it's interesting in terms of just timing and like the fact that they've got this piece to release or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, if you can get a thermal with an XMC from him, I'm sure people will figure out a way to farm him if there is a way. I mean, maybe he'll be like the sniper scav, or in some sense, you have to make him fall off the top of the lighthouse to actually get his loot. Otherwise, he's going to be up in some, he's on the top of somewhere that you can never access to stop people from just farming continuous thermal scopes.
That could be interesting. Like he's either up in the lighthouse or he's like on the landmines by the lighthouse, or like whatever. That could be interesting.
So you can never actually get to him. Because otherwise, the people are going to figure out a way to kill this guy, right? If he's there with any sensible kind of spawn rate. And he's only going to be in one place. That's the thing with some of these bosses that, often finding them is quite difficult. Like Sturman's probably one of the easier ones just because he's always down in that woods camp. But, this dude's always going to be in the lighthouse, you would think. Or maybe he'll just be somewhere on the island. He could be on the dome bit, he could be whatever. But like it's a pretty small area, so he'll be up there somewhere if he is there. So you imagine that people will figure out if it's farmable, people will find a way to farm it. And then it's going to be AXMCs and thermals for everybody. Won't that be fun? Have replyrs all over the place.
Yeah, that would be fun. Sorry, I think I might be having technical difficulties on the recording. I'm not positive. And we're back.
Good.
Perfect cut. Church, cut right here. Don't forget.
Is that when you clap? And you've got like a spike in the recording, and then you're looking through the audio file.
Dude, I know that we used to do that a little bit on Airwings stuff, but because sometimes it was like, he would do like six takes on like a single script, and like when you're doing the recording yourself, you kind of like remember that, but like when you pass out to someone, they don't really know that. So I may like spend like, okay, cut here, get the perfect J cut, and then on to the next one. It's like, oh, he repeated. Okay, so cut that, dude. Do the perfect J cut again. Go to the next wavelength. Oh, he repeated again. It's like, damn. It's like you gotta like. Anyway, so we used to do something.
I've definitely
like that.
done that myself. I've done that with my own thing as well. Especially if I record something and I come back to it, and then I'm just like, yeah, as you say, you like piece it all together, and then you like go through, and then it's like, and then it starts. You're like, no, god damn it. Yeah, definitely. What were we talking about? We were talking about. I nearly said Anchorman.
Did I? What the?
I nearly said Anchorman.
Oh, you nearly. I was like, what?
Stay classy, Tarkov.
We were talking about
here the loot or non-lootability of the XMC thermal scope, whether that would break the game if people figure out how to farm it, / maybe they'll make it so that he is always on the top of the tower in some fashion so that you can't loot it. And that means that he, again, is more of a bodyguard. So even if you kill him, you don't get his stuff, but then you do get access to Lightkeeper, but you don't just get a free thermal.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Could be. I don't think they'll do that, but it could be something they'll do. We'll see.
The other thing that was quite funny was there was quite a lot of people who were just like, oh, claymores. And apparently they've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, I did see a screenshot of one.
Yeah. Some people were like, oh, claymore mines on the lighthouse. Claymore's confirmed.
Right.
And there was, I think, a nice guy actually was posting on Twitter just saying, yeah, it's always been like that. There's always been claymores there. It's fine. Don't freak out. It's okay. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, yeah, because the things that Nikita has talked about with the Lightkeeper in the past, he's basically said, we want all this cool functionality before we release him. Right. And so it's going to take as long as it's going to take to get all the cool functionality in, whatever they're doing with menus, voices, interaction, however he wants to do it, which is still a bit unclear. That he wants all of that done. And because it's all completely brand new, obviously they've got to make sure that works. And I'm sure they want to make sure that it does actually work properly before they release it, because otherwise that'd be quite embarrassing. They spend a long time working on it. So who knows when Lightkeeper will actually appear, but yeah, as you say, maybe we'll get rid of Archie first. Get to fight him. Get to die to him. Probably more appropriate. He's got to be even more cracked. He's gonna be like Sturman squared. And Sturman's pretty bad sometimes. So yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Any thoughts about Zerachi other than that?
Not really, man.
Much else. Yeah, we're just going to see how it goes, how he comes through. The other tease, leak, whatever you want to call it, was a couple more street screenshots, which is not a great deal to go off particularly. What's happened here? Something, one of my pages just like not refreshing. Yeah, so we got like a couple of others. I think there was only 3. There was the one which is the main interesting one, which is like a big wide panoramic shot of one of the sort of crossroad intersections on the map with a bunch of like trams and things, which is kind of cool. And then there's a sort of, I don't even know what it is really. It's maybe like an underground like basement of a mall or something. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is. And then just like a general outside area. I don't think those are really that interesting. Like the main one for me that I think is the most interesting is that wide shot, and it's obvious why that's the case, because as anybody who watches Nice Guys stuff, he's piecing together the map. I have to say, I don't know if you feel differently about this, but I think he's got a pretty good mental image of what he thinks the map's going to be like. I have watched the videos that he has made about where things go and which screenshots, but I'm still a little bit confused about what goes where.
Yeah, I'm not that plugged in enough to really have an opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I'm just not sure how much value there is like it's interesting if you really care about streets and you're really interested in seeing what the layout's going to be and stuff, then like that's totally fine. But I don't think there's a great deal of value in preparing to learn the map by knowing that now, because you'll be able to learn it so much quicker just walking
Yeah.
around it in offline or
Right,
whatever, right, when it
exactly.
actually arrives. So that's why I feel like I've not really been that incentivized to uh, investigate it in like full detail like he has done. But either which way, it's interesting following that from like a broader general sense, because in watching his video, he was saying that previously they've pieced together a few different sections, and there was a proof of concept piece of art, I think, or it was like a wireframe that was given. I actually
Mm-hmm.
missed it. I'm not sure when that was released, because I don't ever remember seeing that wireframe. I think maybe I just like missed a nice guy video or something at some point in the past. And what they were saying was that originally they thought maybe that was the full thing of like Streets Part 1, but this new screenshot supposedly allows them to kind of extrapolate, I guess, and say, well, the edge of the map of what it looked like was going to be the original iteration is now going to be bigger than that, because some of these buildings are now in the center, and the section that we've been shown matches up with this landmark and that landmark and that landmark, and it's actually going to be a bit bigger than we thought. And it's not just the original kind of like teaser that was shown. So that's kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool. Like the map's going to be pretty expansive. There's a guy called, I don't know how you pronounce his username. We've talked about him before. He's like Rema, RE3MR, and he's on Twitter and he's on Reddit, and he's one of the guys who does like the really cool like custom 3D renders of maps. I know that the really sick reserve map that's on the wiki is his, and I never realized it was his for a long time. And he did like this ridiculous woods map. I think I talked about it previously, probably a couple of months ago. And he did this insane woods map where like every tree, he's like modeled like pretty much every tree. Like the whole thing's perfect. And you can download this enormous version of it. It's like, 16,000 by 16,000 pixels, some like stupidly crazy files. You can like zoom in. It's like an intricate detail, this like model that he's done. And what he's done though, actually, he's on, if anyone wants to see it, he's on Twitter. It's at RE3MR. And he said a quick block out of what part of the layout to streets might look like based off the old in progress screenshot posted by BSG, which is actually the one that I had missed. And he said, I saw it in a nice guy video and wanted to see if I could block it out somewhat accurately. And yeah, go on his Twitter if you're interested in going to see it, because he's basically like models the view and then he kind of like zooms out and like spins it a little bit so you can kind of see it from top down. So that's kind of cool if you're interested in maybe seeing what the layout might look like. But as I said, this new screenshot that we've got shows us that is actually not the entirety of the map. It's part of it, and actually is going to be a little bit bigger than that when it finally comes. But that, again, that's not actually, to be fair, that's not to say that all of this is going to come in part 1. Maybe some of this is proof of concepts for some of the expansions or whatever. We just don't really know at this point.
I see. Based off Reamer's model, it kind of looks like a little block of like map to play, and then like the rest is potentially just background for like future content. That's kind of how I'm looking at it, but I could be wrong. Maybe the whole thing, that whole rectangle, is playable.
I think the whole rectangle is supposedly playable, but I'm not sure. And
that'd be impressive.
And then the section right at the bottom is apparently like not the boundary of the map, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be pretty big, honestly. It's going to be pretty big. I know. Well, let me just jump in and talk about your. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. There was going to be. I thought it was going to be a technical issue again, but I've unfrozen it. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Ignore me. Let's carry on.
What, was my camera frozen?
Yes, but
okay.
I fixed it. It's fine. It's working now. So yeah, so that's what Nice Guy was basically saying in his video. Again, he's. I think we're waiting for him to come out with a new version of his like here's where everything is, because he basically was like, it's Thanksgiving and I'm hungover and I just want to put a red square on my video and that's about it for now. But I will make another video. Is basically what he was saying. So we're gonna wait for him to make a new version of his what goes where. on Streets, and maybe this time I'll pay a bit more attention, because if it is actually coming in the next patch, like we have been led to believe as closely as we can be without them officially announcing it, then maybe it'll make more sense now to start looking at it. Because before they were like moving buildings around and stuff, so it wasn't. I don't know. Everything was so fast and loose that, again, it didn't make sense to look into it in huge detail. So maybe this one will be good. So let's wait for Nice Guy to do his thing. We can see how what he's thinking about. You know, the main. I think there's a couple of main streets really, and then a bunch of sort of sections on the map. So we'll see how that then interrelates with this new like wide shot that we've been given of streets, and kind of take it from there, which is pretty fun. Pretty fun. The only other thing that I wanted to mention about this was about the timing or the timeliness of when it's going to be, because we do think it's going to be in the next patch. And yesterday, Dimitri, who's the head of PR, BSG, he retweeted BSG's Streets pictures, these 3 Streets pictures, and just said, not long to wait.
Oh, really? I missed that. Oh, I did see that in your notes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So read into that how you will. But you know,
he didn't say soon, guys. So
he didn't say soon. He said not long to wait. He could be talking about, you know, the galactic timescale, but I think probably not. And if I think I heard this, I think Jesse was talking about this actually when I was listening to those guys, and I agree with him, saying that if Nikita's still talking about releasing Streets Part 1 before the end of the year, and it's November, it would be quite unwise to say that at this point if you didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and making those comments in November is very different to making those comments in April. I think I agree with that. And so that combined with this little post here, I feel, you know, as confident as we can that we're going to get Streets Part 1 in the next patch.
Yeah, I think so.
Which would be thumbs up. That would be good. That would be good. I think that will vindicate a lot of people actually, in terms of stuff is actually coming, because there's quite a few things that now we're in this dead period where it's sort of the calm before the storm, hopefully, in terms of content, because as Sad points out in the chat, you know, Arena was going to be starting to be tested in the autumn.
Right.
I haven't really heard anything about that. And we've got the Streets thing, and then the Lightkeeper, and everything's sort of got a bit, you know.
They haven't already tested it.
How dare they test it without me?
That's funny.
I mean, it's true. It's true, right? There could be a very small select group of people who would get to test it, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be cool though if at least we get sort of like one of the 3 pieces of tease content, and arguably the biggest piece. I think you could argue it's a toss up between Arena and Streets, I suppose, but Streets really is like, it's the big deal, right? Like the game can't be completed without it, and it's supposed to be the central point for so much other stuff.
There's a lot of eggs in that basket, Giga. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Yes. Yeah. So it better be good.
Exactly. It's just part 1, guys. Like, don't worry. Yeah. It's okay. It's just part 1. That's actually quite clever. They sort of almost like hedge their bets a bit, you know? People like
Tarkov, the beta, part 1.
But maybe they have some freedom to move. If people go, they release it and said,
yeah,
it's freaking dog shit.
Yeah, I'm sure
no, it's just part 1, guys.
I'm sure it can't be that bad.
No, exactly. I'm interested to see mostly. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, it just seems like they're ready. You know, if everything they're doing, it looks like Streets is coming, and I don't think BSG is willing to ship something that they're not like proud of. You know what I mean? It may not run as smoothly as they like it to, or whatever. But as far as like, they take a lot of pride in the things they do, like their animations. You know, I mean, I've heard Nikita say before, like, no one does X, Y, and Z how we do in the games industry. Like there's no competition. Like they got a lot of pride. So and like
Yeah.
don't mean like in a negative light. I just mean like in general. So I think it's I think it's coming, and I hope that it does hold up. I think what's the thing, like it's gonna be like unlike any other map you've ever played before or something like Nikita. Like it's the most biggest, most detailed thing, and hopefully that seems like the crown jewel from Escape from Tarkov. You know what I mean? It's just like this like legend, the Streets of Tarkov legendary map. It's just been like hailed for ages, and it's finally coming down to us peasants. I just hope that it's gonna please the lower serfs and peasants and.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the thing about it is they're kind of right, when they say there's no competition, no one does stuff like us, because for better or worse, we see these multiple different extraction shooters, but nothing's really on the same scale of complexity. And yeah, you have games like Armor and that kind of thing, but it's not the same, right? It's not the same. And there's a reason why people keep playing Tarkov and keep coming back every wipe. So we'll see. I think the thing that I'm hoping for most with Streets is to get maybe some of this stuff that they were talking about, like maybe not map to map travel. I mean, it could be. I mean, when Streets Part 1 comes through, do you think they'll log labs off behind Streets? And
That's what I'm thinking is you got to go, what is it, factory to Streets to labs? Or is it Streets Factory Labs?
Maybe you can go in two different ways. I know they said factory at one point. Maybe I think at one point they said you had to go to factory, and then from there you can get into labs, and then you get kicked out of labs onto streets when you finish, something like that. But I feel like you might be able to go in different ways. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe you can go in from streets itself. I think there were 3 maps, weren't they? Didn't they say that there was like streets entry or something?
I don't remember. I want to say you could get like in streets. There was an underground section that was essentially labs. And then I guess factory somehow is connected, which I don't understand that because I thought factory was inside customs. So, but
yes, I'm still not entirely sure how factory is connected, unless it's some kind of like underground like mail train or something. Yeah, it's like a freight train or whatever that's down behind one of the seller's exit or something, and there's like there's a cargo train or some underground tunnel that ships you across.
You open up the red door, it's like the big red grated door, and then you go out the other side. And it's just like you're in a subway. It's like this way to labs.
And then it just dumps you out to like the what's it, the no backpack extract in labs or whatever. You just end up coming out the ventilation shaft. Like, oh my god. Yeah. Can you imagine if they just dissolved labs? Like labs are just part of streets. Like it wasn't even its own map. Can you imagine?
Well, that's what I thought. Oh, as you're saying, like it's just literally one map. They just like dude, that'd be crazy. People would lose their minds. Like, my mini arena.
Yeah. Well, you got arena for that. Don't worry, it's fine. Yeah. No, that's the kind of stuff that's interesting, I think.
I was gonna say, to your point earlier, and like to this point, like Streets is supposed to be the first map you're gonna like start on in like 1.0 when all the maps are locked, if I'm remembering this correctly.
I think so.
I would imagine you could go to, it's kind of like the starting point, so you could go, you have the most choices, so like labs, I guess, factory, I guess, to then go to like customs would kind of make sense to me. Because I've always thought streets is like the opposite, where like you go in the streets, but it sounds like they're like you start in streets and then you go away from streets,
Yeah, I think I almost feel differently about it. I think because, and maybe it's just because of like its positioning on the map. Like I could be wrong. I don't know where Church has gone. Sorry, I was like, I don't know where you went.
Sorry, I'm dying of thirst.
Okay, but yeah, no, because streets. If you look at the overall world map, because streets starts up in the top right-hand section, unless there's ways of getting on trains or whatnot, because I know that different maps are going to be locked, so you're going to have to travel kind of physically from one map to the next. To my mind, it almost makes sense for it to be sort of strung out at the end of a not a linear pathway, but you have to go from there to interchange first, and then you have to go. Then you unlock interchange. Then you have to go from there down to the next map.
Right, based
Maybe
on
into
how
customs and
the map
based on the map
looks.
flow. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And then maybe later on, then you unlock I guess with the labs key, you unlock the ability to then go. Because I think from what Clean has said previously, and I don't know whether this is still going to be the case, because he was talking, he's got insider info for BSG from a long time ago, but then they might have changed their minds and might have different plans these days. But from what he's said in the past, you start on streets and you slowly work your way through the other maps, but you don't even have like a hideout or anything at the beginning. But you finally make your way to customs, and I think customs is sort of then the home base, and that's where you get your hideout, and then there's the underground extracts, which sort of link the hideout system together, etc., etc. So I think, like, yes, even though you start in streets, to my mind, from what I've kind of gleaned from various places, I feel like it's not the be all and end all map in terms of, well, it's not like your home map, even though you may start there. You have to kind of go out, unlock the other maps, find the different traders, and then find your hideout and stuff. I mean, it could be completely wrong. Maybe it will be the center and they'll just reposition stuff. But given the
Well,
landmarks they're adding, I think it's maybe unlikely.
yeah, I think you're right. It's most likely going to be more linear based off the map that we have now, assuming that's they're keeping that. You get streets interchange to what is it, customs, and then customs starts to like
Yeah,
open you up to different options. Like
exactly. Because you can go to woods from there. You can go down to reserve from there.
yep, shoreline. Oh, no, that's from
You have to
reserve.
go through reserve. Yeah.
Isn't there
Did you get
something?
to Lighthouse? You can technically. I can't remember how far up it goes, and it depends if there's a link.
Right.
I feel you might technically be able to go to Lighthouse if you go
Oh, I think that's the only
just like
divergent path is you can go
due west.
woods or you can keep going down through reserve to shoreline to lighthouse.
Hmm.
Unless there's something up past woods, which is the DLC content like
Like town or
suburbs
whatever.
and town,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know.
It
We'll
sounds like
see.
those aren't coming for the time being anyway. But I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
think in theory you could go from customs through to Lighthouse, but I think there's like mountains in the way or something, so you're not actually allowed, I feel. So we'll see. I don't know, we'll see. So that's kind of like the way it'll go, I think. And then yeah, I don't know how much of that can even get released though with this version, because I feel like a lot of that is going to be released with the 1.0 story quests, which is what Nikita's working on a lot. And that makes sense for it to be linear, right? You start in one place and you work your way through, and then you slowly unlock everything. And then you get kind of like the open world mode afterwards, which is just like regular Tarkov, but with a few more limitations. That makes sense to come on 1.0. So I'm not sure how much of that stuff can come even with the first iteration of Streets, but we'll see. Maybe it'll just be labs locked behind some kind of multiple layered entry system through like factory or whatever, and then the other stuff's coming later. I don't know. We'll see. So much speculation. So we know so little.
Yeah.
We know so little.
I mean, one thing I will say with Streets is the size could actually be pretty good because, if it is going to be maybe not the first iteration, but like once they scale it up to 1.0, it could be a pretty good starting ground because it's so big, right? On one hand, it's easy to get lost, but on the other, I feel like your odds into running into more players slash things are going to be lower. So you'll get like more of a chance to like explore.
Maybe.
Like you remember, like it's just like when you start on customs, you're just like, oh, what's over here, and then it's like gunshots. Because someone's killing a scav right next to you. You're like, oh shit, and you just spend like the next 5 minutes trapped inside the storage containers, and you're scared out of your mind. That was me on my first time. And then eventually you think, oh, I spawned here. I've been here before. Let me run over here. And then you die to the guy that's across the street sniping back at you at the spawn. I think my point is that, like, for newer players, it might be a little bit more, I don't want to say forgiving, but like they get to like explore a bit more and then die and lose everything.
Yeah.
Look at all this loot Timmy brought me. No,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully we'll get some kind of like dead drops and things like that. Some like
Yeah.
other cool mechanics they've talked about in the past. You know, if the map's going to be so massive, then you can at least store some loot. You know, maybe it's just our backpacks worth. Like you can you imagine that? It's like here's the dead drop, but you have to just put your bag in. The whole bag. Like not even the stuff that's in it. Like the whole bag just gets removed from your player. And that goes back to your stash. And then you're just like bagless. You have to go and like find another bag. Two bags, one
Yeah.
bag inside each other. New meta. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I do wonder how they're gonna do that. I mean, I would wager it's probably gonna be limited slots. Like in DMZ's dead drop system, it's not really because there's no stash. It's basically just you can put 4 items in at a time at max, and then it all gets converted into EXP to level up your character / reduce your weapon cooldown, whatever. It's essentially infinite. You can do that just infinite amount of times. Like there might be a penalty on like the conversion rate doing the dead drop versus extracting. That's not like clear to me if that is or is not the case. But I just can't imagine Tarkov giving you an endless stash to just like throw stuff in the raid to go back to your main stash. So I imagine it's gonna be like a limit, like 40 out of or 40 slots in total, maybe, and then you could just put stuff in there. Maybe you could put a backpack full of loot, or you could put loose items, something like that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Like whether it'll even just be a mechanic, like it's a car or something.
Yeah,
like a car extract, but you can put a bag's worth of stuff in it, and then it drives off like the first person to get it.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
That could work too. That way, because how would you do like multiple people using the dead drop? Like you would have to have like a send button that then like disables it for you for the rest of the raid, but not other players, unless you wanted to deny it from other players. Like it's kind of what happens if like you put stuff in there, leave, and then someone comes in and then press enter and sends it. Does it go to their stash? Does it go to your stash? There's a lot of like
these dead drop campers are just the worst.
Dude, would that be something like you see a guy like fiddling with a dumpster, you just like come down on him, Batman him, and just shoot him, and then the loot he's put in there, you just like send it to your stash and then set up for the next victim.
Brutal.
Yeah.
See, that's something that would be really awesome if it was dynamic, right? It's like, oh, here's your dead drop. Here's on the map, or it's this location. You have to meet this dude, and it's like different for each player. That'd be sick, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, as you say,
how would you do that?
Gonna be on top of each other. I don't know. Maybe you just have a map, or put a pin on a map.
No mini maps.
You can do it on a physical map. I don't know, or like you find a note or something. I don't know. There's ways of doing it that are like not stupid and are not just like it's the same place every time for every player.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the line is like either it's like a hard point that they traditionally done, like a hard spawn, or it's like something dynamic which they haven't really done. But then how do you just have to like stumble across it? Because they don't do any type of like the classic example is like, imagine if they made the Postman Pat, or no, not Postman Pat. What's the one with the document and the train car on customs delivery?
I don't remember what it's called. Is it Pokem Hobo?
Is it Chemical?
Or is it something else?
Yeah, it's either Pokem Hobo or it's Chemical Part 2 or 3 or something. I don't know. But that quest.
Is Pokem Hobo the one you have to kill the scavs? I can't remember which one this is. Oh yeah, that was just kill scavs. It's part of Chemical though, isn't it? Is it?
I think it's Chemical 2 or 3. Or maybe 1.
Oh no, it's Chemical Part 1.
Okay, there you go. Okay, that quest, right?
The ridiculous point and click adventure quest.
Imagine if that was dynamic, right? How the hell would they because even in the lore or like the flavor text of the quest, I don't think there's much I think it just says the train car, right? I think that's the best you get, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
it's
crazy, right?
Let's hypothetically say like you spawn into a Tarkov raid, right? And you're on streets, and I'm trying to think how they would do it. maybe you have radios. So you find a radio, you tune into a frequency. God, like I hope that God is in English. Okay, that's just like a prayer. Let's say it's in English and it says, you know, it's in building, I don't know, the old abandoned apartments building. Well, there's like 90 million abandoned apartments. You know what I mean? So you got to do another point and click adventure. Like, I'm just trying to think how, like, because I think of like, a game that utilizes, let's say Ubisoft did it, right? Ubisoft would be like, waypoint here, guys.
Yeah.
It's just waypoint, you know what I mean? So like, how is Tarkov gonna like inform you on a dynamic location? Will it even? Is it literally just gonna be like, these 7 spots can randomly spawn a dead drop? You gotta figure it out and find where they are, I don't know. I don't know. But my money's on a static dead drop would be my money.
Probably, yes. Probably. Oh god, I'm just reading. I'm rereading the quest dialogue for Chemical Part 1.
Are you?
It's just like, honestly,
I know.
like most of it is just like, it's just
flavor text,
rambling, useless nonsense, right? And then the bit at the end, it says, all this time that bagger lived somewhere sleeping on some piss through mattress, right? You should look for that place. I don't think it even mentions the train car.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
Yeah,
it does suck. Can you? Even
I think there is a
imagine?
mattress in there, if I'm not mistaken. But
there is. And then it's funny actually thinking about this now, like looking back, not really having any kind of issues with it because the wiki exists, but the objective's right. So you have to gain information about the Deputy Chief's past life and customs. That's the folder. And this is optional. Locate the sleeping place of the former Deputy Chief of Security on customs. And the optional bit seems to be obtain items that can help with the investigation. Like, even looking at it now, with knowing the answer, it's like you have to look at the secure folder and find the dorm's 220 key. And the dorm 220 key is the item that can help with the investigation.
Right. Which I think you turn in that item.
Yeah, and it has a dedicated spawn on the floor of the same train car. But as it says, due to its low spawn chance, it's not the most reliable way to obtain this key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that quest enrages me. It's one of my least favorite quests in the game.
Listen, I know it's not very immersive, but I really do enjoy playing DMZ and having loot have like a white outline, because it's just like, there's, God, dude, yeah, you know how many times when I first started playing, when I would like try to pick up cans off the ground, it's like, oh, that's not a fucking actual lootable can, it's just a you know what I mean? It's just like,
some of the loose loot,
I can't loot that juice. Yeah, and then it's like, and then eventually it's like, oh, that's a loot item. Like, I just thought that was like, it was kind of mind blowing to me. That's like, oh, these shelves have an ollie have like loot on them. Like, that's not just decoration. Like, it's so like, yeah.
Yeah, because the game almost trains you to like not look at those things originally, because you're just like, you've looked at 50 shelves and none of them have anything on them.
Right.
And then eventually you're just like, oh, but these ones, these shelves here, these are special shelves. These can spawn items. You're just like, God freaking damn it, dude. Like, this game is so unintuitive. Like, definitely for sure that's how it goes when you first start playing, and you just eventually learn like where those spots are. But yeah. Oh my God. How did we end up complaining about Chemical Part 1? We were talking about dead drops and the dynamic nature of, whether you'd ever find them or whatever. But,
what's funny is I think we complained about that quest the last 2 or 3 episodes, but for good reason, I'll have you know.
It's your 10 p.m. complaint time about Chemical Part 1. Exactly. So, Streets. Looking forward to it. Should be good. It's going to be that horrible combination, though, of like starting the new patch and being like, oh, do I want to go and check out this check out streets, or do I want to go and get 5 scav kills? I guess you can get 5 scav kills on streets now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So you're not just, that's the debut. You're always stuck on customs. You could go to streets and do that there.
I'm kind of excited to get, back into Tarkov. I really do miss the early wipe gameplay is just so good. It's just for me, it's the best. I say it every time, and I'll say it again. If you get tired of hearing it, screw you. No, yeah, I love the early wipe. That 1 through 9 is just, I guess 1 through 9 is just before Flee. It's just nothing's else like it. There's so many hard decisions to make. You don't have access to anything. Literally everything's valuable to you, but it's just like, do I want this really valuable thing, or do I want this really valuable thing? I don't know. I can get this at any time, but then again, I can get this anytime. Do I need money? Do I need this? It's just like, this is a really cool attachment. It can make my gun kind of cool. It's tough, man.
And you're like, oh, but I need like some magazines for this weapon.
Yes.
I've run out of cash because I'm not upgrading my hideout. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to sell like 3 cans of beans so I can buy 60 PST rounds.
It's great. I love it.
It is great. It is great. No, I do love it. I do love it. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I mean, I'm excited actually. The time of the next patch is coming pretty soon. I would imagine, right? Like it's probably going to be mid-deck towards.
That's what I'm thinking.
Which means that it's really not that far away in theory. 1, 2, 3, maybe it could be, dude. It could be 3 weeks away.
Yeah. Just
I don't think I'm ready.
I know.
Are you ready? I'm not sure if I'm ready. I mean, I think it's because I've spent so much time away.
I'm not really ready, but like, I'm gonna have to be ready in like the next week or so, or the next 2 weeks. Cause I just got a feeling it's just things are gonna get really crazy and really, just really busy. And then plus I'm gonna want to play, obviously as well. So that's just like, it's just gonna be a madhouse.
This is the problem. That's always my issue. I'm just like, the content. I want to play the game.
Yeah,
it's so tough. It's so tough. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think, I'm sort of more looking forward to it now than I have in the past. Knowing that Streets is knowing as much as we can that Streets is coming, kind of gives me hope.
Just glad it's finally gonna be like, I just feel like it's been such a like roadblock, honestly, in like their development cycle, and it's just been like. If it's great. If it's absolute garbage, great. They're done. At least it's like out of the way. That's how I feel.
I know what you mean. Like we get out there, we get at least start testing it and changing it if it's bad, and celebrating if it's good. Because it's just at the minute, it's just kind of anytime anyone talks about any feature or anything, it's just like, oh well, what about Streets? Collective eye roll. It's terrible. It's terrible right now. And they're adding the other things we were talking about, like to the pile of just community's collective eye roll material. So it'd be great to get this first piece out. Come on, I hope it's good. Come on.
Yeah.
One time, baby. Cool. So what did you want to talk about? Keys or some of the other bits? I don't even mind like what you want to talk about next.
Sure, but before that, let's talk about DMZ guns / Warzone Call of Duty guns, because I really like the gunsmith system, so it's really cool. So
okay, that's cool.
That's kind of what I'm playing right now, and it's just to grind, as I said earlier, just kind of fun. To like level up the guns, and then you get more attachments, and then you can because that's the interesting thing what they do with their gun system, as far as I can tell. Like I looked at the numbers behind the scenes a little bit that like people have posted. I didn't spend too long, seething over the data, but just did a quick glance here and there, and everything's pretty close, 1 to 10% difference.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like within their own category, like the SMGs, you may have one that's on one spectrum it's 88% movement speed, and on the other it's 90, I don't know, 97 or 96% movement speed, and it's a range in between. But then you can mod the guns and have different things that affect movement speed, ADS speed, damage range, all these different things. So you can kind of but like I said, the guns are pretty close. There's rate of fires, It's not like Tarkov, where it's like true to their IRL
Yeah.
counterparts. They have like their own system or their own whatever numbers they come up with. So you
Easier to balance
basically,
that way, I guess.
yeah, and you like you can't change the rate of fire on the gun. Not that I'm aware of. There might be some mod somewhere, but it's mostly just changing like damage range specifically. Adding a suppressor sight, lasers, which they got like a cool. I think it's kind of cool. There's like different. Like you can't toggle it, but like it will only be active when it's on the hip. And it'll increase like your hip fire accuracy, or it'll be the one that's the opposite. It's like only active when you're ADSing, and it does something. But overall, it seems like it's slightly the mods don't do like a lot, like anything significant like Tarkov. It's like kind of like minorly shifting it in a particular direction. It's still better than like running it, modless. But anywho, it's kind of cool because you level up a weapon. And then if it's like in the same like class, I guess, like they have the M4, the M16, and then the Hurricane, which is essentially a P90 mag slapped on top of an M4 assault rifle. That's literally what it is. And all those, like a lot of those mods, I should say, like the stock specifically, are interchangeable. The grips, I think, are like interchangeable kind of. So as you like level up, the weapon, let's say the M4, I can then put that stuff on the M16 and level the M16,
cool,
and then I kind of dig it. It's kind of fun. It's a little grindy, but it's cool. It's cool. I like, and that's the other part I like is their modding, because once you max out the weapon, the final unlock is weapon tuning, which then you can like take the mod and then like push it even further in either direction, like even more. You have like a slider that you can like increase the, let's say the ADS speed, but it's gonna like also increase the recoil. So you can like even, or you could do the opposite. It's like let's say the stock was designed to increase ADS speed or something, but at the cost of increasing recoil. Then you have a slider and you can like make it do even more ADS speed, but you'll lose even more recoil. Or you could go the opposite way where it's like just a little bit ADS speed and just a little bit of recoil reduction. It's pretty cool because then you can like tune every single thing to get the ultimate gunsmith. You kind of feel it's nice. I like it.
That's kind of neat. I never got to like max any of the weapons yet because I was just like flitting around trying different stuff. So I didn't actually get to that. I didn't see that as a feature. So that's interesting. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other really cool thing, dude, that Tarkov really should add. One of the things you can do for the sights is on the tuning part, you can move the sight where you want, further or closer to your eye, which is really cool. I dig that a lot.
Do you like it closer or further away?
I actually liked it further away.
Okay.
It does depend though, because like if you're doing more for, I guess sort of like more, like you don't want to feel like because when it's further away, you feel more like snappy, like more. Whereas like when it's closer, like it's taking up more. You're losing more. Like the scope's closer to you, so you feel like you're got like more inside the scope and less peripheral vision, but also the scope housing is bigger, so it's like blocking more peripheral vision as well. But it's kind of nice because you get more stuff that's inside the scope, if that makes sense. Whereas like if you, let's say you wanted something a little bit more snappier, or like you didn't, I don't know, you push it further out so that way you get more peripheral, but less is in the scope. So you kind of feel like you're not getting the full, advantage of the scope, but you get more peripheral, so you can kind of like play more faster, I guess. So I don't know. I
like
dig
the
it.
interesting thing in Call of Duty is that like, the recoil is just so much lower in general that you can get away with having an optic much further away, and it not feel like you're, in Tarkov, right? You have your optic really
It's
far
true.
away, and it's just like the reticle just is like goodbye, like out of
Yeah.
the out of the frame.
Goodbye.
You're like, no man, really. Whereas in COD, it's just like the recoil system just doesn't work the same way, so it feels a lot more stable.
Yeah.
So I can see that. I can see that.
But yeah, that's the gunsmith rant. It's pretty cool. I think I really dig it. I think they got a cool system there.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. That's actually like it kind of like makes me think like, oh, maybe I'd want to get a gun to max or something just to like fiddle around with that system, just to try it out. Like, yeah, as you said, just try and push something all the way to max and see what you can get out of it.
And I think the one nice thing too is like it doesn't feel. I mean, it's a combination of multiple things, but it doesn't feel like, guns are so, because the guns are so like similar and how they feel for the most part, especially if in their class, like assault rifles or SMGs, etc. That doesn't feel like there's one particular gun. It's just like the obvious clear winner. Like I'm sure there
Yeah.
is, but like I would like to think the margin is so small as like the obvious winner. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, in terms of having like a meta, it kind of feels nice that you can use more diverse stuff, and the system also incentivizes that by leveling up each of the things, so you get the full range of attachments to play around with. But, anyways, it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. I keep feeling kind of the urge to jump back on, but I feel like I don't want to play solo anymore. After
Yeah.
playing squads, I just feel like it's so
No.
much more fun.
Yeah,
You've been
definitely.
playing squads mostly?
Mostly solo lately,
Oh, okay.
which is
Interesting.
it's like okay if you have a self-revive, purple armor, you know. But if you don't have those things, dude, oh man, you just like you die so easily. It's really rough.
Yeah, you absolutely do. So have you found it better than, because I know in the first week we were just like, oh, it's so rough playing solo, and then it's interesting to hear that you've played like mostly solo though afterwards. You're like, oh, I'm still enjoying the game. After
It's like I said, it's still frustrating because you're just like, everyone's got a squad, most everyone. So if I'm not down to players, I'm probably dying to AI. But like I said, if you have purple armor, which is three plates essentially, because you start with one plate. So if you have 3 plates and like a self revive, that way when you do mess up and you die to AI, you can like, if you die to a player, you're just like you're dead. Like you just have to like, there's no way you're getting that self revive off unless they like sniped you from really far away, and as you went down, you could like scoop behind a rock and then self revive. But anyways, when you do mess up and you run into like 5 bajillion AI at once, and you have a self revive, it does give you a little bit of a grace period to like revive yourself, run away for like, a second or two, and then, re-engage or heal up or disengage, which is nice. So once you have all those things as a solo, it doesn't become as brutal, but purely as a solo, I feel like you have to, at the bare minimum, you got to go find, like, don't engage any of the tougher AI, just do the small AI, get a 2 plate somehow, and then acquire a 3 plate somehow and a self revive. And then it's not that bad. But still pretty bad.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny because I distinctly remember going in and just like, as you say, messing up. And you played a lot more than I have, but you just like go into a building and there's just a random AI that you don't realize is there, and they have a shotgun and they just kill you in 2 hits. And you're just dead, and you're like, oh, and now I can't do anything because without a buddy to revive you or whatever, there's just like no second chance, which is just so rough. I'm like half tempted to just play with like randoms to see what happens.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I mean, it's randoms, dude. So test your luck, but
yeah, but it could be better on average.
Exactly.
Than I think. Yeah, I feel like my experience of just playing with other people has been like so scarred by playing Dota 2 that I never want to go back to playing with random people on the internet ever again. But DMZ is a different ball game, so maybe it's different rules apply. Maybe I might try it. I might just try it just to see what happens.
I did try Warzone Did I talk about this last week?
No, I don't think you played. You hadn't played Warzone when I spoke to you last time.
Okay. I did try it, and it sucks. I absolutely hate it. It's literally nothing has ever changed from BRs ever. It's this exact same strategy formula. You you spawn in, you loot, you go inside a circle, and you camp, and you just repeat. You move inside, kill a guy, move inside a circle, camp, kill a guy, move inside. It's literally the exact same formula, dude. It's just like, God, how do people enjoy this? This is so boring, dude. That's honestly why I like DMZ/Tarkov, because it's not just like, here's a clear objective. Now camp the objective. You know what I mean? This is like yes, there is like a main objective, but there's also like it's way more sandboxy. I can be like, okay, now I want to loot stuff for later, or now I want to loot this very specific thing in this very specific location for this very specific task. I just want to survive, so I'm going to run to the XG. You know, just like you just have so much more. There's way more dynamicism to it. So I can really appreciate that a lot more than, like, I get it. Like, it can be really intense playing Warzone, getting down to the final circle, whatever. It's just like, for me, the like moment to moment gameplay is just so boring.
Yeah, it's like the build up to that is not as compelling. That's actually really fascinating. Like going back and playing some battle royales, because like I haven't played any of them for ages after moving over to Tarkov. So, you know, back then, you know, we loved it because it was kind of like the most sort of high octane thing you could do. And then after playing Tarkov, like I never really went back. It's interesting that you've gone back to it and sort of gone, well, you know, compared to, as you say, the moment to moment gameplay, like, yeah, the highs can be really high, but it's not even like with Tarkov where the highs are high and the lows are low. It's like you're actually just waiting for the circle to close. And you feel like you're like just wasting your time or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it's Tarkov, I feel like I'm actively doing something. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you could like, you know, camp somewhere and it would be the same thing as like camping in the Warzone circle. But that's the thing, is like, you just like, if I wanted to, I don't know, like, I don't explain it. It's just like different than, it just feels like that's like the only thing you do for the majority.
It's because you've got other objectives in EFT,
right?
Because you're either like, oh, I'm trying to move across the map to a certain place. You know, you've got other things, because you can camp if you want to, but it's not really the meta strategy or whatever. Whereas like in a battle royale with a circle that moves, your only objective is to stay alive and stay within the circle. And so
yes,
if the circle is in, I mean, some of the games of PUBG, for example, that I find the most boring were the ones where you get lucky and you're actually well within the circle just by chance.
Yeah.
Because, you can continue to lose or whatever. But once you've got like some decent stuff, unless you're near a hotspot where there's going to be like insane loot that you're going to get an upgrade from, there's not really anything around you that you're going to be able to loot. Like, you're in a good position, so you just kind of stay there. And like, it might be 15, 20 minutes before you actually really do anything, because it's like,
exactly,
what are you supposed to do? Well, I'm in the best position I could be in, so now I just have to wait for everybody else to catch up. Like the games that are kind of fun is where you're sort of on the edge of the circle and you're just moving in with it. And you're like, all right, where's it going to go next? And you're planning where it's going to go. Okay, well, if it goes here, then if it goes here, if it goes here, well, I need to move to this position. So if I get unlucky, I'm not just in the circle the whole time. You know, those games are kind of more fun because there's more decisions. But yeah, if you're just in it, like, it can be kind of dull. So I do see that. I definitely get you with that. Like the couple of games that I played, and this is ages ago, even now, of PUBG that I played, trying to get back into it very tentatively with a friend. We basically just looted for 5 minutes, wandered around for another 10 minutes, and then just got one shot by somebody. And at about like the 25-minute mark, and that happened like 2 or 3 games in a row, and we were like, screw this, man, screw this sucks. Like, I feel like I've actually just wasted my time. I didn't do anything productive, and it was just like super boring. Whereas like, in Tarkov you can, I don't know, I guess it's because there's so many different, like, what's the how do I put this? Kind of what is success, you know? Yeah, what's the win condition, and what is success to you? Well, it may just be extracting, it may be getting loot, it may be getting PvP and dying anyway. You know, there's lots of different reasons why you might think of a raider being successful.
I mean, I guess you could say extracting is the win condition, but like in some ways it's more like a draw, because like if you went in a raid and let's say someone broke your leg or something happened and you were like, I just got to get out, right? just so I can save what I brought in. You know what I mean? Then it's like you didn't gain anything, and you also didn't lose anything in the game, right? So it's kind of like a draw. It's like but if you did a quest and extracted, well, that's a win. If you got loot out and extracted, well, that's a win. You know?
Yes. So there's like multiple ways of winning, and things that you can go and do, right? If you say, well, okay, well, I'm in this situation and my arm is damaged, whatever, so I'll just like loot what I can on the way through and then leave. You still feel like you're progressing.
And there's different scales of winning, right? It's like I got a single tape measure out. That's like a small win, you know. I looted the entire resort and killed 9 chads, you know. That's like a big win, you know.
Yeah.
Big
exactly.
W.
So yeah, it's just more it's more nuanced. That's the thing. It's not so black and white.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like especially towards the end of the PUBG era when we were playing a lot and winning, like not all the time, but like more frequently. Often it ended up coming down to kind of who just ended up in the better circle, like near the end. Like somebody needs to push into somebody else who's just camping on a bunch of rocks. And that's kind of what got me a bit frustrated.
Yeah.
It's just like
insane.
It's so annoying, you know, when you get to that final bit and you're just like, oh, the terrain is in such a way that like I just can't really push. Or like it's right on the edge of the building that they're in, and you're like, are you serious? Like I've just got to push across open ground. Yep. That is the only way into the new zone, and they just get able to just shoot at you. It's like, and you've spent like 40 minutes getting there.
Right. This is the thing. You're the guy that's like on the outside of ring, constantly like clawing his way through all the opponents. Meanwhile, Billy Bob Jr. just like landed in the exact center, you know, looted the golden legendary sniper. He's like, I'm going to get this dub easy. You sat there for 40 minutes not seeing a single soul, and then you're the last guy running in the circle in the open field, and he's just sitting there the whole game waiting for you. Like, for me, you know, the guy that's, you know, Billy Bob Jr. sitting with his golden sniper for 40 minutes, that's extremely boring, dude. And on the flip side, the guy that's, like, running in, it's extremely frustrating because everyone else is being a mini Billy Bob Jr. and just, you know, camping the outskirts of the ring. It's so annoying, dude. I'm just like, how is this like fun for, you know, sure, it's fun at the very last, you know, if you do get the W, I guess it's fun for either party, you know, it's like exciting, you won, yay. But I just like, oh dude, the moment to moment, that build up to it is just so boring to me, or frustrating.
I get it. I see. Yeah, it is funny. I haven't thought about it for ages, but yeah, it makes sense. Oh boy.
Anywho, so yeah, keys. So I had some notes that I took down back in, I guess, like August.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit then.
We talked about it a little bit, yeah. I know I hope I'm not retreading over current old information, but like I had an idea. I was like, man, I want to like expand this out. I want to like flesh it out and then like have it like peer reviewed, you know, by like my peers and my colleagues in the Tarkov industry. I said that to one of my friends this year. I was like, yeah, I'm in the Tarkov industry. And they were like, okay, so problems with the current key system by Church 1X. No. So despite some keys,
a treatise.
Exactly. A scientific study of the Tarkov. Despite some keys being extremely rare to obtain, the loot inside the room they unlock do not accurately reflect the rarity of that key. So like, what's an example? Now I'm just talking out of my head. I'm trying to like read and also reading comprehension processing. What's an example of that? Oh,
Marked
I guess
key.
Yeah, marked key. The Ultra Med, I don't know. Is
probably some of the labs keys.
Yeah.
Well. Red, probably in particular.
Yeah, in particular red. I don't know. It just in general. Okay, whatever. I'll keep reading. However, keys have a certain fixed amount of uses associated to them, meaning players are able to farm the rooms, possibly resulting in the key paying off after several attempts. So, like, even though the a key may not, after one use, a handful of tries may not provide. You may have paid 1,000,000 rubles for it, but if you were able to use it X amount of times over the course of however many tries, you could break even or make money or whatever, potentially. Next line. Some keys have no use other than selling it. Okay. Well, okay, great. My phone is... I have a cracked screen on this phone, and it won't scroll.
You were telling me about this earlier. You were saying it just like randomly deletes stuff. That sounds like fun when you're using like Google Docs.
That's the screen.
Yeah, that's pretty smashed.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn it, dude.
Okay. It's on like Drive or something. You just have it up on your PC.
Yeah, I mean it's an iPhone, so I don't use.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't really use their products, but okay. Sometimes finding the key you value the most at any given progression point is just a matter of pure RNG. Some keys completely halt player progression on a specific progression path until they obtain that key. Because
Annoying, yes.
Sorry?
Annoying, yes.
Yeah. Because some keys are so rare and or valuable, they will almost always be placed into the secure container when found, making them unlootable for other players, effectively making the key itself only usable by the player who found it and secured it. Because keys have multiple uses, and keys can be unlootable once obtained and secured. That's a new addition I'm going to add in the revision. Players can start the raid with every possible key and use the same keys throughout the course of multiple raids. Because these two things are true, locked rooms cannot have too much value. Otherwise, the value of items exiting the raid from locked rooms would surpass the value of the key itself, compound by the fact that keys can be used multiple times. So this is kind of a very long and drawn out, here's X, here's Y. Okay, if X, Y, and Z are true, then this is why, this is like this. So, I mean, it kind of explains why, in my mind,
that's... Is that referencing like the price on the flea in particular? Is that what you mean by that? Like if it was like wildly profitable to go and take these keys through, then they'd be more expensive on the flea. Or is this something? Is this still about rarity and scarcity on its own, or is it, or both?
Kind of both, honestly. So like, basically, because keys have multiple uses, and because you can take that key and basically, like, once you obtain it, you can make it. You're guaranteed that many uses, right?
Yeah.
And because you have the possibility to start the game with every key in the raid, on BSG's side, you can't make keys, the stuff inside the rooms, that good on average. You know what I mean? Otherwise, keys would just be even more valuable. Like they would be even like no one would be selling keys, or like keys would be OP is a better way of saying it, right?
Yeah, like any key that anybody ever found, people would just keep and use because it would be by far the best looting method rather than doing anything else.
Right. So they kind of have to make keys not so great by that logic.
Or the loot within, yeah, exactly. Or the keys even more rare, one or the other.
Yes. Because some keys are easy to obtain, have multiple uses, can be unlootable, and unlock rooms that can possibly hold more value than what the key is worth, it is reasonable to expect that the average player will get a positive net return on their investment of the key during the life cycle of this classification of key. Uh, that might be a bit of a stretch because, like, one thing I was thinking is like you could unlock a room, and like now that loot that's in the room is now up for grabs. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're guaranteed to get that loot out. I mean, in theory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can put it in your butt, but that's a whole nother thing. But regardless, you still like essentially took a previous loot pool that wasn't accessible to anyone, and now you just made it accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
In one sense or
Yeah, because
another.
you're not guaranteed to get out of the raid.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm like trying to think of a key that would make sense there. I don't think there is one. Like, I was trying to think of like the. I guess maybe like the director's office key is pretty easy to obtain, and it has multiple uses. Like, get it from filing cabinets. You can like get it from the trader. You can buy it off the flea market. It's pretty cheap. There's like a safe in there. Like, my point is like you can get the key. Some keys are really easy to get, right? And they like the stuff that's in there is like well worth more than the key. Like, if you just survive once, the key is paid for itself.
Yeah.
Not to mention you still have multiple uses afterwards. Not to mention it's literally unlootable, the key. Like, it's like loot plus is my big thesis, complaint, whatever. Okay, moving on. Next, like, it's just a list of all the problems of keys, right? In my mind, there are no alternatives to unlocking a locked room if you do not have the key, with the exception of another player in that same raid who has the key to unlock the rooms for the player. God. In conclusion, the system disproportionately rewards players who have more time to obtain key and use the key. This is due to the amount of RNG with obtaining and attempts of success associated with survival and finding the particular item or value the player is after behind the locked room. Okay, would you agree with that? Dum 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 dum.
Say that last bit again.
Okay.
Just say that last bit again.
This is due to the amount of RNG with obtaining and attempts of I worded this really poorly. And attempts of success associated with survival and finding the particular item or value the player is after behind the locked room.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is
with that,
the system disproportionately rewards players who have more time to play the RNG game because, as stated earlier, some keys are really, really valuable, and like they'll be locked behind progression, right? So they're really hard to get.
Yeah, this is cool. This is questing keys rather than looting keys, right?
And yes, in this particular example, you could say
in this
that.
instance, yeah.
I mean, but on the flip side, there are some keys like West 303 that's, I don't know what it is going for now, but it usually goes for like $1 million because it can spawn really good stuff in the room. It can spawn, but you have 40 attempts. So if you either you get one lucky spawn that has, a LEDX or whatever, and the key pays for itself, or you have, 20 good raids of looting that room of random other junk that spawns in there, and the key pays for itself. But the key is still valuable. Like, it still goes for a lot, right? Because it can spawn something good, I guess, that you may need for a quest or just the pure money. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack, but
yeah, because the ones that I think of with this mainly, especially for the quest ones, things like the radar commandant's key, whatever, because of the stupid interaction with the way that the flea market works, you end up not being able to sell them for decent cash. You end up having to digital barters, and then you get locked out of this like top tier item meta, and you can't do the quest, which is really annoying.
And the point there would be like, little Timmy, for whatever reason, he wants to get inside that room, whether it's a quest, loot, whatever. He just doesn't have hours to grind cash or barter items or the key itself to do that thing. You know what I mean? That's like what I'm saying. It's like it disproportionately favors people that just have more time to grind, essentially.
Yeah, this is true.
The other part is not to mention the amount of attempts. It's like, let's say Timmy does get the key, right? So he's got X amount of grind invested into getting the key. He's finally got the key. Well, now he wants, like, you kind of want the key to pay for itself, or like you want to get a return on that, you know, whether it's doing the completing the quest. But he's not guaranteed to do any of those things. He just has part one of his goal done, which is like obtain the thing, and now he, as long as he can get to the door and unlock it, then he's used one use of that attempt. You know what I mean? It's like, now you got to survive. You know, you've unlocked it. You know, part 1B completed. You know, but if he fails, it's fine. He's already got the key. He can just keep going again and again and again until it runs out. So, like, again, it's kind of favoring people that have more time because he's not really guaranteed to keep. Like, not only did he spend a lot of time to get the key, now he may have to spend a lot of time to finally do the thing that he did all the time to get the key for. Do you see what I'm saying?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. I think it's one argument of why, you know, a lot of the keys sell for less than they're like worth, so to speak, because there's this like time element involved. You know, it's like, oh, key's got 20 uses and you're going to make your money back in 10 uses or whatever. And it's 500k and you're going to make, you know, 1,000,000 rubles with the whole key. It's like, sure, but that's not something you can just like buy the key and then sell, you know, buy the key 500k and sell it for 1,000,000 rubles. It's not like that, right? You got to invest 20 raids worth of grind or graft to actually unlock that value. So it's a time thing. And then you've got to weigh that up against the other things you could do, like just playing usual raids. Like, well, why even use the key? You know, if you can just go to the lighthouse and do a scav run or something to make that same money, it then starts to become an opportunity cost problem with other avenues of like money making. If you're looking at it purely from just like a looting perspective, that's kind of where it starts to get a bit more complicated. So like, yeah, the keys should always come at a discount because you've actually got to put in some extra work on top of that to actually unlock the value. No pun intended.
Yeah.
To unlock the value of those keys, you've actually got to take them in and then go and do the stuff, and then extract as well. So it's not straightforward necessarily to unlock it, but that's kind of like a point against keys, I guess. Like, yes, it's for the people who have the time. Like, yeah, maybe you don't necessarily have the time to then use, because that's definitely the case for me. Right? I often feel like I just don't have the time to use the keys, so I almost never do like key specific runs because I'm not necessarily going to those places naturally through questing, whatever, and I'd have to like go out of my way to go and do those specific key runs with those specific keys to just go and like make money. And I'm like, well, even if I'm going to make less money other ways, I can combine it with like doing questing and do other stuff. So like I never normally do them. That's just me though.
Yeah. I get that because it's like out of your way. So like it's a double negative. Not only do you have to, you know, pay the money to get the key, but now I have to now I got to use it. Now I got to grind it out. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and I don't find it that fun just doing like key runs. So
yeah,
I tend to avoid that kind of gameplay anyway. So even though it may be more profitable, I tend to avoid that style of raid.
And then the last bit is finding the particular item of value the player's after behind a locked room. So it's kind of like, let's say you did buy the key to, you know, some on the wiki it said this can't spawn a LEDX, and you were doing that for the LEDX quest. You know, it's like, so you grinded, you know, the money to buy the key. Now you got to grind the rooms to get the item that you're after the whole time. You know, it's just like it's a lot of grind, which I'm not saying. You know, I guess I'm saying like in a way, grind is kind of bad here. Okay, so that's like the list of problems, and I think like overall, it sounds like you agree more or less.
Pretty much.
Okay. So I think this is where I go into analogy mode. And as I recall, I was telling GigaBeef earlier, my first analogy, I realized I was just like scuffed and I had to go back and rework everything. And I don't think I ever finished reworking it. But I had an interesting idea. So like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll read this. Well, I will read it. We'll read it. So imagine a new casino just opened for business. Unlike most casinos, this one is only filled with slot machines. Your odds of winning the grand prize are extremely low, but there is no monetary cost to playing. But the casino is a business, so they make their money off overpriced food and drinks. So this is, I see you smirking. So this is kind of like analogizing like the keys, right? So, you know, the casino is the map, if you will, or whatever. The rooms is the grand prize. You know, there's a chance you'll get a LEDX in this room, and there's no cost of playing. Like, you know, you can just try. Like, you once you get the key, it's I guess that is the cost. Is like you getting the key.
Was getting the key. Yeah.
I mean, see, this is where the analogy. Like, I remember I had like, you know, it was like a really weird analogy because it's like kind of like, you know, just accept these like non-realistic things inside this make-believe analogy just so I can get this point across, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then like you dying is the food and drinks, right? The, you know, that's how they make their money is you failing. Okay, so anyways, the casino owner makes an offer to every winner. Instead of a cash payout, he will offer you X amount of spins for your winnings. This is another. See, this analogy I think is awful. But we'll keep reading. Okay. This set of free spins can only be used at a particular machine determined by the casino owner. You can only trade your set of free spins with another winner's as long as your ticket of free spins has not incurred any usage on it. Okay. So
I see where you're going with this.
In this analogy, the player only has one type of game available that doesn't interact with his individual set of skills. Some players might prefer other type of casino games like blackjack or poker that have a mix between luck, skill, and game strategy. However, hitting the jackpot, so to speak, is still a great feeling for the player. They are now faced with a difficult set of choices to make about their prize winnings. If they choose to take the money, they will lose a percent to taxes. If they take the set of free spins, there's no guarantee that they will win again, making the same or more amount of cash back that they could have had originally. In addition, if they win, their dilemma reoccurs with the new winnings and are back in the same cycle. So this is like the classic dilemma, dude, right? You loot the key, okay? You find the key, right? And it's like, dang, do I play the lottery a million times or do I just, you know, trade it with another player for another key? And of course you could just sell the key, but just stick with me for the example, you know. And it's like, well, I'm just going to get another key that's also like me replaying the lottery again to like potentially, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you're just like fed back into the same thing. I guess the cash payout is kind of like the obvious choice for most people, you know? It's like, why play the lottery when you could just do the cash payout option? But you're going to lose some of the taxes, though, the flea market tax.
It's quite big. It's a lot, right? It can be a lot.
So then it's like, do you do the trade to avoid the tax? But then you're just stuck with another lottery machine thing, right? Which is like fun, exciting, but you know, you don't. I mean, this again, where the analogy starts to break down, but you don't really get that like luck and skill. You have to just pull the slot machine every time, right? You don't. Unlike blackjack and poker, where there's like
each pull is like you have to wait 20 minutes before you do pull again.
Exactly. You're getting it. Okay. Like I said, I reworked this, so we're probably gonna get into some like really weird territory here, but Trading with other players is complicated. Don't scroll down. Trading with other players is complicated as only one player can play on a particular machine at a time. There are known machines that give out more wins than others, and some machines that will allow you the ability to purchase refreshments at a discount price from the bar after winning on those particular machines. Because of these factors, traders will value different sets of free spins differently from one another outside of the total number of free spins the tickets may have. That last one lost me, so I wonder if it lost you, because that's probably where I started to rework it. But I think
completely lose your mind.
Yeah, I think the general idea I was going for there was because once you unlock a door, no one else can, like, you can't relock it. You know what I mean? It's like as if you got first dibs, essentially. So no one else can play the lottery afterwards. And there are some machines or rooms that are just known to like spawn better stuff. Like I said, West 303. I think it's 303, or is it 301? I think it's 301 actually. It's just like there's a good spawn on the ground. It's like a GPU, a LEDX, a defib, something. A little bit more often than the other rooms. Or I should say, not more often, but it just exists. It just is like that, you know. The other rooms just don't have a chance to spawn
items,
those loose items
in a position.
Yeah. Some do, you know, but most of them don't. And then basically this was a long-winded way. Some machines will allow you the ability to purchase refreshments at a discounted price from the bar for winning those particular machines. It's basically quest keys in a nutshell. You know, once you get the quest key, you do the quest finally, then it's like now your winning is a discount at the traders. You know, you get more stuff from them, essentially, I guess. I think that's what that was supposed to be. It's kind of a poor one. That was a pretty...
Yeah.
Because of these factors, traders will value different sets of free spins differently. So this is saying some keys are more valuable than others, essentially. Anyways, it was a ScavTalk therapy. Oh boy, it was a little something I never got finished, but
it is kind of weird the way that works. I mean, we've talked about that before, but yeah, the part that I like the most is about the ability to trade that with other players, right? And it's just like the winning ticket, you can trade the other with other winning tickets, and that's precisely the 2-tier economy that you have in EFT, which is, again, if you're early wipe and you want to do the radar commandant key quest, and you don't have the key, and you don't have any of the other top tier items which constitute, you know, a sufficient barter with somebody, whether it's a marked room key, whether it's a labs card, whether it's whatever, you know, so maybe a rare armband, you know, one of these like high tier items, then you're just locked out and there's just nothing you can do. You have to find one of them. You have to find one of them. And you don't have to, and in some ways that's kind of good. That's kind of better. You don't have to find the radar commandant's key, but you could find a marked key. You could find something else. So I guess it makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, but that's my biggest
gripe.
But
it still sucks.
Because you're still playing slot machines constantly.
Like, trying to find one of these like legendary items.
To this day, I still don't know why they have not gotten rid of the keys that do absolutely nothing. Like, do not unlock anything. They can easily change the barter to the keys that do not unlock anything to something else. Like, it's just like, why clutter the loot pool that's already cluttered with stuff that's absolutely like doesn't unlock anything? Like, I don't know that. Like, I don't care that I found another key that sells for 40K, the therapist, because I'm literally after one key to my quest progression that everyone else wants another key that's extremely rare that's to another quest progression. So I need to either find one or two of these keys. It doesn't matter how much money I have. You know, that's the part that's like annoying, and I would like, that's where it's like, Sound like I would me personally, I know some people may be different, but me personally, I would rather play poker or blackjack than hit the slots. You know what I mean? In Tarkov terms, I would rather it be like, you know, here's a key to the radar station on Scav boss every time or whatever. It's one use, you know.
Yeah.
It's whatever, you know, something that's just like there's different ways of getting it. I could kill a player and I could get the key from him. Oh, he's got the key that I need from a quest. That's exciting. That's fun. I could do a quest and get as a request reward. Oh, that's cool. I could do killed off of Scav AI. I could find a jacket, you know, just like a little bit more spawns, but like not because you're gonna up the spawns, right? And you're also going to this is where it gets a little dicey. This is where you're also going to like make keys not securable in a container. Kind of like how they did the mags. Because that's my other gripe is like would you be more like incentivized to use a key if you got it off a player and it was like rare?
And if you couldn't secure it yourself, then yeah. Maybe, well, probably. If it was in that raid, yes.
So
if you extracted with it, then you'd be quite wary taking it in. That makes sense?
Yeah. That's interesting. So like you personally, like hypothetically, let's say, in this make-believe Tarkov world, keys could not be in your container and they spawn more often, they had one use, and for the sake of argument, let's just say because they were more difficult, more skill based, if you will, you know, you couldn't just like over the course of 40 attempts finally complete your objective that was locked behind a room. You know, you had like, I guess it is the same, but it's different. I don't know how to like word this properly. Anyways.
Yeah, when you say skill based, you mean what you were saying before, which is like find it on a player, find it on a, you know, there's a daily quest for it, or there's some other quest, some other way of getting it. Because like what's funny actually is that. Yeah. Well, yeah, what's funny is that like we're almost kind of we're sort of like we're almost entering into the funny territory of like we don't want the ruble meta, like we don't want everything to be turned into everything else. But in the key situation, we're saying, oh, that's not really very good. Like we're not quite there, but we're nearly saying that, because you're talking about other avenues. You're talking about a quest to get it, or it comes on a boss or something, which is like that's a bit different. You actually have to go and do something. That's not just let me just turn my pile of rusting AKs into a lovely radar commandant key. Like that's a different thing. But we're skirting close to that, which we've always said on the other things that we don't want. You know, we don't want just to be able to buy SRs or whatever. We want to like find them in raid and it feel more dynamic and whatnot. Kind of the way that keys are, I guess, but they still feel like they suck. Despite that.
Are you saying we are skirting closer to you converting AKs into keys?
Maybe if you start removing some of the restrictions, but I guess it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
So you make more like, so you take these keys at like, are they tradable on the flea? Like if you take these keys at these one use keys, which are very, very like low in value,
I'm operating
only one use.
I'm operating that found a raid still an existing thing. So like in theory, if you kill it off a scav, even though it has one use, it's still found in raid. But if a player brought it in, it's not going to be found in raid because that system exists.
Okay, fine. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So if you find it off a guy, then you're like, okay, well, I've got to use it myself now. All right.
Or stow it away for later.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah. You're going to use it yourself, basically. At some point. Either now
or you could sell it, vendor it, but
you could vendor it, yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yes.
So under those circumstances, you would be more likely to actually go out of your way to unlock it.
Oh, if you got picked it up in that raid, yeah.
Really?
If like, if you picked up like a marked room key,
that's interesting.
On customs, and you're like, oh, okay, I got the marked room key now.
Because I would have pegged you more for a preparer, you know? Like you just like you have the key you want, you bring it in.
I
And
think it would depend, honestly. I think it would depend. Like if I was kind of close and I didn't have anything else, then I might think like,
okay.
oh yeah, maybe
So would
I'll
you
go
say
for it.
this? Would you say it's more interesting?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. That's the important thing for me at least.
That is the important thing. I agree with you that that's the important thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah,
my
that's why I think that would be good.
that's my biggest gripe is, well, one of my biggest gripes is it's just kind of like not interesting me spawning in, you know, late wipe or whatever. Not even late wipe. Like I grinded X amount of scav raids so I could then buy every customs key, and now I just have all these keys at my disposal for 40 uses. And like, I mean, they could. I still think even if they brought, this is like the fundamental problem is like even if they brought the use down to 1, if I can still secure it, because like if they bring the use down to 1, the price is gonna like the economy's gonna balance out for that, right? Like they're gonna like assuming nothing else has changed, the price is gonna fall. So like it's still equal to what it was essentially, more or less, in theory, right? But I still have the ability to bring all those keys in. So like nothing's really changed if they bring the use down to 1 because I just when I leave the raid, I just buy a new one and replace it and secure it. So like I'm not it's like I'm not I'm losing the money. I guess if they bring it down to 1 if I didn't anyways. It feels as if I'm not losing anything. Because if I die, I still have the key. Like my investment's still there. You know what I mean? As long as I didn't unlock it. Yes, as long as I didn't unlock it. So it's kind of a half part system, but that's one of my biggest gripes. Is not only do I got to play the RNG game to find that one key that I want or whatever, it's also just really boring once you have all the keys. And then on top of that, as I said earlier, it's just because I feel like because you can spawn in with a key and the keys have multiple uses, those things combined, they really can't make the loot that good because as the game carries on, there's going to be more and more people that have more and more keys, which means more and more loops being opened up to the map for players. So it just means that more and more money's coming out than like staying in and getting lost. You know what I mean? Like when an item doesn't get looted or is not insured, it doesn't get looted. Like it just evaporates. You know, it's just, that's the great. Like when you sell it to a trader, like you get money for it. It's like it kind of stays around, but it also just evaporates the item, which is kind of
the potential of the key disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one use thing is kind of cool. But like, yeah, if you're only able to get them outside of the secure container, then yeah, you're definitely much more incentivized to like either use it, save it, like think more carefully about it, maybe using that raid. I still kind of like the idea of a key spawns in that particular raid. I don't know, like maybe you can't even. I mean, you should be able to extract with them, but yeah. Anyway, that's the whole trailer. I thought I don't want to go down. That's it's too complicated. But yeah, if you just have like a one use key and there's more of them, but then but they spawn like maybe they just spawn on the map that you're on or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just sort of like my brain's just going all over the place now.
Yeah. That's the other thing I wonder is like, do you even need uses afterwards once you can't secure them? Like, is that even relevant? I'm not sure. I guess
maybe for other people finding them, but
maybe if you didn't want, maybe it's like good for the loot economy /
you still want them to be consumable, don't you?
Yeah, because it'd be like if like a drink never ran out of liquids. You just
a casino drink.
Yeah. Or like an AK that never broke. It'd just be kind of like infinite. So you would,
which you don't really want.
Yeah.
And it just passes from player to player, and there's more people loot more keys. There's more and more and more of them.
Yeah.
And then you definitely have to loot, like nerf the rooms because then everyone's got one eventually. They're just passing them back and forth with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't want that. So yeah, you definitely want them to be consumable. I agree with that for sure. For sure.
So, anyways, that was just a little tidbit of the future thesis scientific paper. Find me on Google Scholar under but let us know your thoughts, feedback. I'd like to hear it at the very least. And
Yeah, keys are confusing. They're hard to fix. Certainly hard to fix.
All right, guys. Well, we will wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next week.